Audio sync in 3, 2. All right, it's messy. It is what it is. Welcome back to Jason Bytes Back, episode numero L66. No, it's Siente, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Welcome back to Jason Bytes Back, episode number 6. If you're not familiar, this is a series of which I go back through the last 30 days, give or take, and respond to comments and or questions that were posted on my videos. Of course, this video is brought to you by my awesome Patreon subscribers, the names of which will be listed at the end of this video. As far as the mess goes, I'm kind of playing a little bit of mad scientist right now with a few things, like taking apart UPSs, like old UPSs, and seeing like what kind of parts I could salvage. And it's kind of I'm in this learning phase where basically, like, this is a second box, but what I want to do is basically just start salvaging some things, transformers, whatever, and then see if I can just come up with some weird stuff. So I actually have no plan as far as what I want to make or any goal. I'm just kind of curious. So curious, in fact, that I had to order a different soldering iron because this is a 60 watt-ish or something like that. And I was trying to desolder something, and apparently you need a bigger, hotter soldering gun to do that. So I learned something yesterday. Anyway, let's jump right into the questions. And the first question that I have today is from Anthony. He said, isn't this the exact same product as the Zendor Powerbank Base Pro 2000? He's talking about the Van Powers Pro power station that I reviewed, which I still stand by. Is like pretty much my favorite power station so far. It's got some of the best features on the app. It's got basically a 95% efficiency curve across the board. It gives you all the information you want, etc. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why it's my favorite, but it's still my favorite. Problem with that is after I made that video, I had other companies, whom of which I were not familiar with before, reach out and be like, hey, you want to test out our battery? And then I go look at the battery. I'm like, this is actually literally the same as the Van Power Pro Super, whatever it is. So yes, it really kind of got me thinking that it sucks when you get a company that is basically taking a template that was created or developed and then just slapping a logo, rebranding it, putting their own box, whatever, and then selling it. Versus, like a reputable company, something like EcoFlow or Jackery, Mango Power, for example, right? They do all of their own research and development, and they create their own batteries. So it does kind of suck, I guess, having a battery that's just multi-branded, but not really that company. And I think why that sucks is because if, I, for example, want to come out with a Byte My Bits power station and get this design, and then I could say, okay, this is my logo, this is what my specs are, it's my, pretty box and all that other stuff, and you get all these warranties or whatever, and then I could just shut down or change my name, and like there's really no risk. So the answer to that question is, yeah, that battery's basically rebranded, and that does kind of suck. And of course, I turn down those battery reviews that are like repeats and stuff like that. Like, yeah, free stuff is all cool and everything, but it's actually a huge pain in the butt because of how much work goes into testing and everything. And you don't want to go through all that same work testing the exact same thing, and or skip all that, not test it because it's the same thing, and then just put out bullshit. So next question is from Andres. I have to ask, why that many transcoding? The answer here is simple. It's not always about the quantity, it's about the quality. I don't know why I went quantity, and that's even misleading in itself. It's really like if you have a media server that is fully capable of doing, let's say, 40 transcodes or something crazy, right? If you have a media server that fast, that responsive, that good, then even if you're watching 3 or 5 different streams at the same time, that means you're going to have a better overall experience. That means you'll be able to fast forward, rewind, change the quality, do whatever you want to do, and have a very just reactive and quick media server. You may not be pushing 40. In fact, I hope you're not, because if you are reaching the limit, I don't know what this is, but let's say the limit is 40, like that's the limit. And in my experience, when I'm testing and I'm getting up to those limits, things start getting really slow. So if you're actually pushing it towards that limit, you're not going to have really a good experience. If you actually need 40 transcodes, you're probably going to want a server that can do 60 or 80. You just don't want to have a negative experience, really. Next question is from Marcus. He says, you have open bays. Why not just add the new drives to there before upgrading the 10s? I know it was swapping parity, but couldn't you just reassign parity to the new bay locations? Yeah. The reason why I didn't just, add in and then move over and stuff like that is really just like kind of a mental thing for me, because before I did that, I'm like, I don't know where my parity drives are, but I think I know how I planned it out. And as soon as I opened it up, I'm like, yes, it's these top left right here. These are the drives, these are the parity, and that was it. I didn't have to hunt for them. I also discovered that previous Jason labeled some of the other drives, so, finding drives is actually a lot easier. I don't know why I did that, but I'm happy I did. So that's kind of the thing. That little drive bay pull-out plastic piece is now written in red. So if I'm going to take that drive out and replace it with something, I'm going to have to correct that red. But on to that point, and yes, I'm actually still in the process of rebuilding parity again, at least rebuilding the 2 replacement 10 terabyte drives, the actual data drives, not the parity drives, but I've finally got the 4 drives in my server right now, and it's almost done, really. As soon as that's done, I'm actually going to be replacing 2 more 10s with a set of 12s that were my previous parity drives. And then, because I have all this extra room in this server, I've kind of been running into the storage thing with my DVR, which is going to be the Blue Iris. I want to store, for some reason, a crap ton of video files, and I'm not really sure why, but basically I'm thinking I'm going to run a dual array, like the multiple array feature with Unraid. I think I'm going to do that and have it as a network share. That way I'm not eating up space on my primary array, maybe. Because the server that I'm running, it's like a Rosewell case. The backplane kind of sucks, and it's just not reliable. I think I've just slid drives in and out too aggressively, way too many times, and now it's just questionable. But moving everything over to Loki, running multiple arrays, especially because I have the extra space to do it, it actually just kind of makes sense. Especially now because I'm gonna have those 2 12s and the 2 10s that I replaced as extra drives. So I'm gonna have more storage dedicated to DVR storage. So that's nice. Next question is from Nathaniel. He said, I'd rather shuck these and save some money. 20 terabyte drives for $330. Yes, please. Best Buy Easy Store, 20 terabytes. You mother shucker. Just kidding. Yes, shucking is awesome. I love it. In fact, almost all of my drives are shucked in my server, except for the ones that I just bought and replaced it with. The thing here is that what happened, and the reason why I went with the drives that I went with, is because at the time, those shuckable hard drives, those external USB hard drives, were not on sale. So if you're gonna go that route, you're usually just waiting for them to go on sale. For whatever reason, Western Digital decides to do that. But I needed drives right away. It was not necessarily an emergency, but it was an emergency. So I just kind of rolled with it. It did cost a little bit more money, almost $90 more than a shuckable 20 terabyte, but at least I got a 7200 drive, red drive, guaranteed warranty. I mean, I guess there's some benefits, but it was pretty much just an emergency thing for me. Next question is from, actually related to hard drives, Ryan. It says, why do people keep paying extra for WD drives? Seagate EXO drives are way cheaper and have 5-year warranty still. The SATA X20 something something makes something something blah blah crap. Ryan, I am not saying that all Seagates suck. Twice in a sentence. I just have old, deep, not hatred, just disregard for Seagate drives in general. That's all. In fact, a longtime Patreon subscriber of mine, J Derp, you know who you are, bought like, God, what was it, 15? Yeah, I think 15 or 20 drives and had like 3 or 4 of them fail. So if you're putting them in there and then they fail and you're doing all the rebuild and you have to swap them and do a warranty and do, like, no, that's too much downtime. That's too much of your time being wasted on crap. And if you got like a 20 to 30% failure rate, you're like, what the hell? Like, why would you even want to go that route? Yes, you are going to have people that have good experiences with Seagate. If they were just absolutely terrible all the time, then they wouldn't be in business. I just, noticed too many bad stories about them to want to put my money into their pocket. That's all. Next question is from Marnie. He said, great job not giving up. Your uneven light switchers are driving my 12-year-old son crazy. I kept playing over and over and over saying how uneven it was. Yeah, I agree. So I did this whole bathroom remodel thing, almost like a test, because I wanted to see what some colors look like what all was involved, how aggravated it would be for me, whether or not I really wanted to do stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of things going on in my head at the time. And yeah, the uneven lights thing, in order for me to fix that, I would have to basically cut a hole in the sheetrock, move those light boxes, like the electrical boxes, to be even with each other, reattach them to the studs and all that, and then put the sheetrock back on. My issue is that I am not good with sheetrock, just in general. I'm just not good with sheetrock. I have minimal experience with it. I've never done sheetrock correctly, and I basically need to practice. That's what I need to do. I have 2x4s upstairs, and I got spare sheetrock in the spare bedroom, utility water, whatever room over there, that I can make a little makeshift wall and, practice. I just haven't done it, but that's what I need to do. I need to practice. Everyone keeps telling me, man, it's so easy, just cut a hole in the wall, just blah, blah, do this. It's not easy to me, because every drywall patch I made looks like crap. I suck at it, so I got to get better. I'd love to say that I'm going to fix those light switches, but honestly, I don't think I will. Next question is from the Kojo. He says, I don't know why, but I'm expecting the videos for this project to be some kind of short form snuff film. I hope this works and you don't electrocute yourself. It's about my backup battery situation. I know that I, maybe dramatize or, overemphasize some kind of risk thing or something, but in reality, I'm only running a 24-volt system. And I'm not saying it's not dangerous. I'm not saying there's not risk, and I'm not saying I can't start a fire with what I'm doing. It's absolutely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that what I'm actually dealing and handling and the way I'm doing it is pretty much safe. It looks dangerous, but it's fairly safe. Everything I have is connected with fuses or circuit breakers. They have protection. The bus bars look scary AF, but really you could sit there and touch them and you're not going to feel anything. It's not high enough voltage. Maybe for the cat or a dog, it might be deadly, but I mean, they're like this far apart, so they're not going to be able to touch them both. At the end of the day, I try to make videos for entertainment, and sometimes, I throw a little bit of drama in there and make it seem scarier than it might actually be. Next question is from Zachary. He says, dude, if you're running 500 plus watts just for a Plex server, you're doing it wrong. Dude, 500 watts for a Plex server. Look, if you're trying to save money, you're trying to go the budget way or the eco, I get it. 500 watts is a lot. But if you have a real server, especially a real server that, let's say, runs unraid and maxes out at 30 drives, a hard drive takes 8 watts each to run. God, I should have looked at that. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to round up to 10 because math is easier with 10. If I have 30 drives, multiply that by 10 watts, you have 300 watts solely to run your hard drives. In a full stressed using your server environment, the only way you're going to achieve something like that, or even something close to something like that, is going to be, a 12th gen Intel, quick sync Plex build, which ideally is what I want to do to get it closer to that 500. But if you're running GPUs, if you're running older CPUs that are not as power efficient, especially older GPUs that were meant to be super beefy and then they take 300 watts just to, use a calculator. If you're running a big old file server like that, 300 watts is just shaved right off the top of your 500 watt number. You can get a server to run with 200 watts or less, especially with QuickSync, and still be a nice server. It just doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. Anyways, Crafty McBushface, he says, LOL is right. The first thing you mentioned, Plex also does. LOL. Tautulli is functionally useless. It does nothing valuable, and Plex doesn't already do. It's just statistic porn for nerds. I screenshotted this, and then I was going to go see what he was referencing, and then I forgot to do that. So I'll just answer this with the only reason why I still run Tautulli, and that is basically watch history and IP tracking. It's pretty much it. I want to know who watches what, when they do, and whether or not they're sharing their logins and IP addresses are coming from other locations. And if they are, then it's an issue with me. That's pretty much it. Everything else, it's not. I don't think I've used really any other feature in ever, but just a day or two, I checked the watch history. So The dedicated log, watch history, and things like that, the stuff that you can find deep in Tautulli, is really the only reason why I run it. I already have a server. You install a Docker, it runs. You don't have to have notifications on. You don't have to be bugged by it. You can just let it run in the background. And then if you ever want to go check something, it's there. I don't really understand the hate, but whatever. Next question is from Chop the Dog. He says, I really want a server, but I'm broke. Can you help find me a cheap and good one, like about $100 and 50 to 108 terabytes? Look, dog. It's literally his name. Look, dog. What I would recommend is start with what you can afford and build upon it. Unraid is actually really good for that, just because you can add a drive and then continue to add drives as you can afford it. $100 would get you something secondhand. Get on Craigslist. Wait, is Craigslist still real? Get on Facebook Marketplace, get on whatever. Find something cheap that you can start building, right? And just start building. Do your research, make sure it'll meet your needs, and do all that other thing, but you're not gonna get 100 terabytes for $100. But hey, if I'm wrong, anybody out there knows a way to get 100 terabytes for $100? Link in the description down below, I'd love to know. But dog, just build. Start low, let it grow with your budget. Next question, oh, that's actually it. That is the only question. All right. I went to a video. So the place I work, I have the cameras that go to my house, and last night, somebody rode a bike up and went and stole a truck. And I called the cops, sitting at home, maybe had a few beers in me, right? Called the cops. They almost hit the cops with the truck they stole. They jumped over some crap, like a big pile of wood and grass and everything that was going on in the back, drove through woods, plowed through the woods. It's a big old 450 dump truck, plowed through some woods, right? And then drove it down to a river and tried to ditch it into a river, which is pretty crazy as itself, but they got stuck before they can get to the river because they got stuck in the sand. So that was funny. Random little anecdote there. I had GPS going and cops on the line, and I was kind of, getting everything, trying to get the truck back, trying to describe the person on, it was actually kind of exhilarating, not gonna lie. Well, anyways, guys, that is it for this month's Jason Bytes Back. If you guys have any questions or comments and you want the best, I say that, I don't really check the last month first. I pretty much just check the whole month. So if you have a question or comment, just leave a question or comment on any video within the next 30 days. That's it. Again, super awesome thank you to all my awesome Patreon subscribers, names of which at the end of this video. Like and subscribe below, and have yourself a great day. Now that that's over, here's where I started with the whole like the electrical stuff. Oh, that's really loud. The electrical stuff that I was taking apart, the old UPS. I was hoping, and it's pure ignorance, call it stupidity, but it's actually just, I don't know, so it's ignorance. I was hoping there was some sort of a physical relay switch in an old UPS, like a 900 watt UPS, cyber power, really basic. Like something that was very, very rudimentary, right? Just very simple, that I could take apart, desolder, and use it to kind of play around with. Not to implement or use for anything, because I'd rather just buy a pre-made automatic transfer switch if I really want to deal with that. But I wanted to play around with just something very basic, right? I had a couple ideas as far as switching and messing around with some basic power supplies and balancing things with the different power stations that I have. I have these like random ideas, but I didn't want to actually buy stuff to just explore things that really aren't going to go anywhere. So I just wanted a relay switch or something to just be like, hey, it's always on or it's always off or whatever, and this power goes out and this power goes through, and then, I could see it in action, and then I could start kind of building and fumbling around with it. And, I just had these little brainstorming curiosity things going on in my head. So that's really what all this is. I took apart one UPS. I've taken apart three different power stations, ones that I just don't like. In fact, I got a power station over there that was such a piece of shit, I didn't even do a review on it because, there's a lot of reasons actually. It's just a giant piece of shit. So I took that apart, and I might salvage some parts from there. This is my second one that I have, but I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna start salvaging these little things that I'm taking apart. I'm just gonna start salvaging some parts, little things Do I have it? Yeah, just little things that I find that I'm like, okay, I know what this is, I know what this does, I know this might be important, right? I'm gonna start salvaging things. And then I wanna get into stuff. Learning electronics, PCB boards, learning, how to throw transistors on something or whatever, right? I wanna just build some basic stuff and then work up and kind of just get into like a hobbyist electronic thing. This is such an unpolished idea / curiosity of mine. I hope that, is pretty obvious, but that's basically where I'm at right now. I'm just taking things apart. It's like I'm 8 years old again, because I used to do this back in the day. When I was super young, I would take apart radios and just whatever I could really, just to see what the insides look like. And then I found out you could take a transformer and a battery and you could shock people with it. Took it to school, it's kind of a thing, but that was the curiosity back in the day. I never went anywhere with it, but now kind of going through that because I got all this extra crap that's literally trash that I'm just like, I could throw away or I could take it apart. So I found a lot of stuff out there, but before I close this video out, if anyone knows a really good, something they've used or they've recommended and somebody has actually used and it's proven to be good, like a very basic, hey, here's how you start learning electronics, on all the stuff, resistors, diodes, whatever, how to start learning, building something basic, kind of like programming. With programming, they tell you how to, print out hello world, right? It's like the first thing, and then you go from there. If anyone knows this a step program, something they want to post in the comment section, let me know. I want to check it out because I want to start learning. That's where I am now. Okay, bye.